So as nice as it is to go out chasing big fish and to fish waters that you know contain them, there is an awful lot to be said for sometimes looking back and visiting forgotten farm ponds, and very often the best way to access these is via a club ticket. And this gate leads to two such waters. The lower one, the bigger of the two, is probably around 3/4 of an acre, but it was the upper one that I'd come here to fish, much smaller than the bottom one, maybe only about 1/3 of an acre, but a superb opportunity to go back to where it really all began for anglers like me and many of my generation. These sort of small waters where you're not really sure what's in them. It's a good mix of species, and the appeal for me with this on this particular day was the fact that the top pool doesn't contain carp, which gave me the opportunity to give a run out to some of my less capable tackle, namely this Dawson's of Bromley early fibre tube rod, which, due to its somewhat insipid nature and lack of backbone, has gained the nickname Incapability Brown. And I'd paired that with a small Carter and Sons fly reel actually, which I'd loaded with 3-pound line. Now I just baited directly in front of the swim, either side, left and right, with a mixture of corn and maggots. And I was fishing tight on the bottom because it was tench and crucian that I'd come for, and just while I was trying to find the marginal shelf, there was some movement on the float, and before I'd even started, I'd managed to catch this perfect little tench. Not a big fish, but fantastic on the light gear that I was fishing with, and exactly what I'd come for. There was a time where this would have been the fish of dreams for me, back in my childhood. And having caught a fish off the left hand side of the swim, so I swapped to the right, still fishing with corn on the hook, and again the float dipped and then slid away, and it was clear that I was connected to another fish with some power behind it. And it was here that I first realised the folly of my ways, because the previous night I'd loaded up the reel with line, but as I say, it was originally built as a fly reel, and I'd omitted to put any backing on there, which means that it has a very, very deep spool, resulting in a retrieval rate of about 1 inch of line for every turn of the handle. So it's hard work to get a fish back towards you. It sounds fantastic, but it does make hard work of things. But before too long, I was able to net the second fish, like peas in a pod. It was another perfect little tench, and really just the reason why you come to these sort of waters. It's just a great reset to the expectations of your angling. But having caught a couple on corn, I swapped a maggot and immediately started catching perch. There was a whole swarm of angry little sergeants in front of me, and it didn't seem to matter where I put the float. It was mere seconds before they grabbed it, all in the 2 to 3 inch range. But I must confess I do have a soft spot for perch, so I don't mind catching them. And it's where there's small perch, there has to be big perch, and come the autumn months I'll return and see if I can't catch the mother and the father of those ones. And something else I noticed while I was out there was a fox stalking around the pool, and he was obviously trying to sneak up on this pair of pheasants. Now you can only see the hen pheasant here. The cock pheasant had already hidden himself in the long grass and was making quite a row, which seemed counterproductive to me, to hide and then make a lot of noise. You're only going to let the fox know where you are, but they seemed to get away from it. When I returned to my fishing, there was some bubbles further down the reed line, and this time it was clear that I'd hooked something a bit more substantial. And although it's only small, the tench do run in excess of 5 or 6 pound in this pool, and a combination of an ineffective reel with an ineffective rod was resulting in a rather ineffective way of trying to land it. And you can see when the fish started swimming towards me, I just couldn't keep up. The rod's gone straight, or as straight as it gets. It's just very floppy, and the fish came right to my feet and then solidly planted itself in the lilies to the left of me. And poor old Incapability Brown was no match, and the lack of line retrieving due to a badly loaded reel was no match, and I was left with what I knew was a better fish. I saw it when it hit the surface, and it was clearly a better tench. I wouldn't put a weight on it, but it was I would have said it was comfortably as big as the two I'd previously caught combined. And I thought I might stand half a chance of netting the fish, the reeds and everything, and by this point I wasn't feeling anything coming back through the rod, so I sort of already knew what was coming. The fish had dropped the hook, but I tried to salvage something from the situation, and all I managed to do was salvage the hook, at least. They say a bad workman always blames his tools, but I think in this instance it was just plain old bad angling on my part, bad preparation, and a case of what might have been.